You know that feeling, right? The movie's over, credits are rolling, but as you're walking to your car or just turning off the TV, you realize the fear didn't stay behind. It followed you home. Suddenly, every creak in the floor, every shadow in the corner of your eye, it feels like a threat. So what is going on there?
I mean, why does a story that we know isn't real leave such a very real, lasting mark on us? It's a great question, and it gets right to the heart of how our brains are fundamentally wired. So let's get into it, because the answer involves a really ancient part of you that has absolutely no idea what a movie even is.
And honestly, this comment from Reddit just nails it perfectly. It's our first big idea. You've got a tiny caveman living inside your skull, and let me tell you, he is not convinced that monster is safely trapped behind the screen.
To really get this, we've got to go back, like way, way back. We're talking about the deep evolutionary programming that kept our ancestors alive long before things like popcorn and surround sound ever existed.
Think about it. Our basic fear response is ancient hardware. It was designed for a world of very real, very physical threats. Its one and only job? Keep you alive. And it is incredibly good at that job, but it has never gotten the software update for fictional entertainment.
So here's where things get kind of weird. Back in the day, if you saw a lion dip behind a bush, the worst thing you could do was relax. Your brain learned to keep that fear signal firing because the threat could still be there. That's how you survive. Okay, now fast forward to today. You see a monster on the screen, and then you just turn it off. Logically, threats dawn. But your inner caveman, it doesn't get it. As far as it's concerned, a monster just vanished from sight, which means you should be more scared, not less.
And this sums up the whole principle perfectly. Your brain's fear response isn't designed to be right, it's designed to keep you safe. It's running on a constant better safe than sorry program. The paranoid ancestor who jumped at every shadow, they survived to pass on their genes. The chill one who relaxed, well, they probably got eaten.
Okay, so we've got the evolutionary why. Now let's talk about the chemical how. Because when that inner caveman sounds the alarm, it unleashes a really powerful chemical cocktail inside your body.
And this is absolutely crucial to understand. The physical stress response, the famous fight-or-flight system, it's kind of a blunt instrument. It reacts the exact same way whether you're facing a real predator, a stressful work project, or a terrifying slasher on screen. The trigger might change, but the biological meltdown is identical.
And it all happens in a flash. First, your eyes see the threat. Bam! Your brain floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol. That's the turbo boost. Your heart rate jacks up, your muscles get a shot of sugar for instant energy, and you start breathing faster to pump in more oxygen. You are physically primed for an epic battle or a mad dash to safety. But here's the catch. Those chemicals don't just disappear when the credits roll. They can hang around in your system for hours, sometimes even for days.
Now, this is where your brain gets really confused. Your whole body just got revved up for some serious physical action. But you just sat on the couch. You didn't run a marathon. You didn't wrestle a monster. So from your ancient brain's point of view, the all-clear signal, which is usually, physical exhaustion, it never came. The only logical conclusion it can draw is that the threat must still be out there, lurking.
And there's actually a great term for this whole experience, a panic attack hangover. It's that jumpy, on-edge, anxious feeling you have the next day. You are literally feeling the physiological leftovers of the chemical fear bomb that went off in your body while you were watching the movie.
So, we know our brains are hardwired with these ancient tripwires. The next obvious question is, how do filmmakers get so darn good at pulling them? I'll tell you this, it is not an accident. It is absolutely a science.
The master of suspense himself, Alfred Hitchcock, he knew exactly what he was talking about. See, the real, lasting terror isn't the jump scare. It's the agonizing, heart-pounding moments before it happens. It's all about the anticipation. And filmmakers have a whole toolbox of tricks designed to crank that suspense up to 11.
Okay, so look at all that empty, dark space in the frame. Filmmakers call this negative space, and they use it to make you feel deeply uneasy. Your brain is a pattern-finding machine, right? And when it sees a big, empty space, especially in a dark, creepy setting, it just starts screaming that something is wrong. Something's missing, and your mind just starts trying to fill that black void with the absolute worst thing it can imagine.
All right, now think about the sounds. Sound design is just as, if not more, important than what you see. Those incredibly realistic noises, the creak of a floorboard, a far-off whisper, the subtle vibration of a phone, those are called Foley sounds. They are designed to smash through the barrier of the screen and put you right there in the room.
It makes the threat feel so much more immediate and way more personal.
And then there's this classic trick. The close-up shot does two brilliant things at once. First, it forces us to connect with the character's terror on an emotional level. We see their fear. But second, and this is key for suspense, it totally limits our vision. We have no idea what's lurking just an inch outside the frame. The threat could be anywhere, and that complete uncertainty is just terrifying.
Okay, this all sounds pretty darn stressful. So why on earth do millions of us pay good money to actively seek this stuff out? It seems like a total paradox, right? But it turns out there are some really good psychological reasons we're all so drawn to the dark.
And here's the most important word: context. We know on some logical level that we are perfectly safe on our couch. And that safe environment lets us experience the intense, primal thrill of fear and practice managing our own emotions without any real danger. It's kind of like a flight simulator for our stress response.
In fact, researchers have identified 3 pretty distinct groups of horror fans, and they all have different reasons for watching. So the question is, which one are you? Let's take a look at the adrenaline junkies, the white knucklers, and the dark copers.
First up, you've got your adrenaline junkies. These are the folks we usually think of. They genuinely love that high from the fight-or-flight response. For them, that flood of chemicals is actually a feel-good rush that lifts their mood and makes them feel more alive.
And check this out. The data gives us a little more insight here. One study found a clear link between people who score higher on so-called masculine traits and people who report getting more enjoyment from scary, thrilling emotions. It suggests there might be a connection between certain personality types and the classic adrenaline junkie horror fan.
But it's not all just about the rush. You've also got white knucklers. They watch horror despite the stress because they feel like they learned something from it, about themselves or about how to handle tough situations. And then there are the dark copers, who actually find horror therapeutic. They use the darkness on screen to process real-world anxieties and make their own lives feel more manageable by comparison. Which kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? That lingering fear that follows you home might feel like a strange glitch in your system. But when you look at it from an evolutionary, a chemical, and even a psychological angle, maybe it's not a bug at all. Maybe it's a feature, a complex, powerful part of who we are that we're still learning to understand, and maybe even to enjoy.